Now we have done the login and logout operations and all the CRUD operations with the JPA. Now we will try to implement the complete project library management from here. So in the admin, I will take some of the concepts. So we have different types of users, admins and user, and library management I'm going to implement with these basic tables, that is the book details, transaction history. Book details, basically it will be having the information about the books, and the transaction is to which student you have given, and the student details will capture from the student UI. Let's start writing the Pojo classes for this JPA Pojo classes. Whenever you write the JPA Pojo classes for these entities, automatically your database will be created. That's the beauty of Hibernate persistence layer. I'm going to create these Pojo classes. In the book management, I will add all those columns. In the book details, I will add all the columns which are I listed in the my requirement. Entity, I will define the table name here, and also I will declare all the variables. Variables, that means column names. I need book details needs the book ID, book name, and author, and book price, number of pieces we are going to buy, purchase date. These all details. These Pojo declaration we have already seen. So what we used to do, we will declare the respective properties of database columns in the JPA entity. After generating the setter getter and toString method, so I will save this. All the columns and the length we can modify what length you need exactly. Sometimes we don't need the much the length, we don't need 100. Sometimes if we need 20 or 10, you can declare it. So in the later part, if you want to change the few properties, like at ID is the default ID we have used, but in this case we are going to use uh, the ID column name as book underscore ID. So we will declare as book name as book underscore ID. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. I'm going to cover the complete project development in this channel and also covering the some more concepts helpful for the interview. We'll complete the property declaration in the transaction, and same we'll do the setter getter generation and the toString method. Let's generate the toString as well. Now here if you can see, I have used the book ID and the user ID. What is the error? Okay, we'll restart it later. If you can see here book ID and I had used the in the transaction table, yeah, book ID I had used, and it should not be int. It has to refer to the respective Pojo classes. So what we can do, instead of declaring it as int, so we'll declare the mapping just like our existing uh, concept of mapping we'll use. So here my book transaction will have the many entries with respect to the student. So I will take the join column. Here I put student ID, member ID, and I will declare it as mapping type many to 1. So one student ID, here many entries will be there. Then the same thing I will repeat with respect to the book ID as well. Mapping book details. Let's generate the new setter getter method because we have changed the uh, type into the respective Pojo classes. Here we go. We can also update the toString method. Let's rerun it. When we rerun, the Pojo classes mapping, everything should be done back inside. You can see the query in the console as well, and if you are more familiar with the database, then you can check in the DB as well. So our tables will be created if you go and check in the DB. So it will show the created tables. If we have seen these old servlets, I think we don't need these servlets login, logout, and registration. Let me remove these. We have copied this code, all the entire code of registration and login, logout into the main servlet. So no need to keep these classes because we no longer using these classes. Let's see the use of these servlets in future. Mm, Let's create case for books and add books and update books. Let me create the specific methods as well. Let's copy the same JPA entity initialization. For update and create, we will use the same process. This we are writing for the books details. Manager.persist, manager.commit. Let's update this update user method for the JPA specific. So here we'll find the login user based on the ID. So this we can do in the JPA by the same way. We can use the find method to find that user, and entity by primary key. And we'll get the same object, and we can remove this JDBC code. Now we have to place it as in request object, how we did the before. Let me just finally I'll use the same code. Let me modify in the UI side. We will just update from button. This is basic info from home page. Here we go. We'll just update the page as to a different admin page. Now here we'll give some links for adding the books. Here I will start initializing the table for accepting book details. We have initialized that Pojo class. So what are the fields or what are the properties I can capture from the UI? I will capture here. I will put as a post method. Then we'll use same the user bean also. Let me create the table which has the two columns. One is for input field, another for description. Input type text, name we will give the same. I will copy for 6-7 times. Then we will take the variables from the book details. These variables we will send it in input format. So we need the same variable names here in the input field so that I can directly attach in the user bean set properties. And after setting all these properties, number of copies completed, then button I will initialize. Book name, author name, then price. This is ISBN number, edition, purchase date. Here we go. Our form is ready now. Form is ready. Here purchase date is string format. I will change it to the date even though it is a string. So in the details I will, instead of accepting the date, I will change to string. From the UI it will pass in the format of string. We can convert this to date format by using the simple date format parser method. Let's create the action JSP and we'll use the same use bean concept in the action JSP. So before also we used the use bean, the same I will use here. I will change the ID name, that is our object name. So we will pass to the method that we add books. It's our URL. Now change the class book details. Scope should be same. Let's rerun it. Let's update our application name as library management. I will update in all the pages. ISBN number, edition, date we can pick from the date. This is the default HTML5 feature. Then we'll submit. We can see the insert query executed. You can check in the database as well. Successfully we can see the data which is inserted from the UI. We'll update the status as a new, and also we'll update the redirection URL. Let's check the redirection is working or not. Login, fill these book details. Let's submit. Here we go. It redirected to the our admin page.